Well, hello there. My name is Emmy, and welcome to my Minecraft Hardcore world. You have joined me at one of my favorite points in any game, and that is that point where everything starts to feel like it is falling properly into place. As you can see, I have added a beautiful little walkway here that leads up to the hospital that we've been working so hard on. And it's not completely finished, but it is at least the groundwork. It's a beginning. And as simple as it is, I know it's whoopee-doo, it's a path, but it makes it feel like a little town to me instead of just a build here and a build there and randomness. It makes everything feel like it's connected, and as a small town girl, I appreciate that. And while today's focus is going to be on building a beautiful barn, I'd like to take a moment to show you the progress made inside the hospital. And granted, it's still a little bit of a hot mess in here, but we'll get it sorted. So down here I've got some of the masons who are waiting patiently to go over to the mansion whenever it's ready. And up here I'm still working on getting some discounts, but if I'm being honest, I'm running out of supplies. I need some more gold for the golden apples. So far I've still only got 2 librarians. I've got our mending friend right here that we've got down to a 1 emerald trade, which I'm super excited about. And then this librarian right here, who is power 5. I confess it was a moment of weakness. I was trying to get protection 4, and when I saw the power 5 trade, I couldn't pass it up because I do love me a good bow. But I have vowed not to become OP with librarians, so I'm going to stop there for a little bit. Sorry, Dr. Frank, you're just going to have to schedule a golf game or something. While I have not yet moved any villagers over to the mansion, I have at least been trying to pretty up the tunnel a little bit. I mean, it's kind of plain and kind of simple, but I feel like it's mildly classy. And of course, as you know, the next thing we need to do is figure out exactly how we want to arrange the villagers in here. I mean, we do have access to this entire wing. I'm definitely open for suggestions if you have any ideas for it. Otherwise, I'm sure we will come up with something snazzy when we get to it. But for today, I actually do not feel like working on the hospital, nor do I feel like working on villagers because I've kind of had my fill of both for a little while. Instead, I want to turn my attention to this area right over here. I want to build a barn for our animals, and if you remember, originally I was going to put them over where the hospital has ended up, and that is why I put the dirt pens with the animals over in that neck of the woods. But now that the hospital has ended up there, logistically it just doesn't make sense to have a barn right next door. So that is why I have cleared this area over here. And actually, I think it'll be really nice over here, because it will be a nice view from the house, and I've decided that I want to make it kind of pretty and cozy, and I want to use cherry wood, which I actually realized I've never built anything using cherry wood before. So that will be fun, and the pink will kind of tie into the flowery designs of the portal over here, and I just think it's going to be a really nice addition. So in order to do that, I actually have to go and harvest some cherry wood, which I did already plant over at the tree farm, so let's head on over that way. Well, hopefully there's still a little bit of gas left in the boat, and Larry the llama and Wishbone the chicken have not been out joyriding. And sure, someday we'll have elytra and it will be a single rocket burst over to the tree farm, but for now, I'm going to enjoy the boat ride. Like I said, I have never really built anything with cherry wood before, which means I have never done any significant chopping down of cherry wood. And what I have learned through this process is that cherry wood is about as pleasant as mangrove wood to chop down, which means it's not pleasant at all. I am going to grab some of the cherry blossom leaves because I think it will be really pretty to start decorating with some of those around the base. So I will grab a few stacks of those and then move on to just simply chopping the cherry wood itself. There are a lot of trees that I would say I actually enjoy chopping, like spruce and dark oak, because I find it a little relaxing to kind of lose myself in the process. But I will say that I do not feel the same way for the cherry blossom trees. They are a pain in the backside. But it is done, and we should have plenty enough for what we need. So we will replant for the next time and be on our cherry little way. I know. So I have marked out the area that I want to put the barn in, and it might look like it doesn't make very much sense because it's kind of off to one side. But there's kind of a reason for that, is I want to leave enough room so that if we want to build on a little addition, we'll have room for that. And of course, I want to leave enough room for a little walking path or riding path if I manage to get myself a horse or two. So I think this will work out perfectly. But of course, there is one little complication that we need to address. Come with me. At some point, I'm going to be accused of some sort of discrimination, but it's not my fault. This turtle is in the way. We need to fill this area in, but I don't want to bury him alive. That would be terrible. But what is the deal with the turtles? I know you've heard me say it before, but they all lay around and they don't do anything. They stay in the same spot all the time. Well, hopefully if we dig a path to water, he will find his way out. Although I don't know why I think he'll find his way out, since they just sit there all the time, doing nothing. Seagrass. Isn't that what attracts them? Yes. Okay, let's go get some seagrass. We have to get a pair of shears, and hopefully this will do the trick. Okay, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. Good job. There we go. He's so slow. Oh, but he is awfully cute. Oh, but he's really slow. Is this normal? Please, somebody tell me, is this normal for the turtles? Because I don't remember them ever being this slow and this lazy. Regardless, at least we got him cleared out of that area, and now we can fill it in so that we can finally get on with building the barn. Certainly you must know eventually this is going to turn into a time lapse, but usually at the beginning of the builds I at least like to kind of space it out just to make sure I'm not making any big mistakes before I do the entire build. So I'm just going to do a quick outline of it, and we will make sure that it meets our satisfaction. Normally I've really been getting into trying to do different color gradients on my builds, but I don't think that's going to happen too much on this one. I don't know. I think it's just going to be a little bit more simplistic, and I'm sure even after it's entirely built, I'll still end up tweaking it here and there down the road, because that's just kind of how I roll. So at this point, I reckon it's time we do that thing that we so often do with these builds, and let's kick it over to a time lapse. Here is the barn finished for now. I'm still playing around with it because I'm not convinced I love exactly the state it's in. It's a little frustrating because I like a little bit more contrast, and I tried putting some mangrove in, but I'm not sure if that's too much contrast, but I'm sure I'll keep playing around with it a little bit to get it just where I want it. But let's take a little look with shaders on. Most of what I used for the build was just the stripped cherry logs and the cherry wood planks. I tried to use some mangrove fence posts in the windows just for a little bit of that contrast I was craving, and used some glazed terracotta for some beautiful accents. And then of course I used trapdoors and buttons just to give a little bit more texture. And I used the trapdoors to look like the barn doors that were open. I thought that was kind of cool. At one point I was going to do the sides of the barn as white concrete, but then I ended up just keeping it all nice and pink and even use some of the ends of the logs for a decorative element. I thought that was kind of neat. And apparently the building inspector is already here to check things out. I do hope that nothing has failed inspection, good sir. All right, I will take that as a pass. Thank you. I do actually like the scatter dirt path that I have coming into the barn. Now you might be wondering why I've got that weird collection of hay bales and barrels up top, and it looks a little bit odd up there, I'm not gonna lie, but there is a very good reason for it. I've got a little something up my sleeve for probably the next episode. It depends. There's something a little bit tricky I have to get first, but that's just a little teaser for you. But for now, we have to worry about getting the animals from the dirt pens over to the barn, and I'm sure that will be an adventure in and of itself. So we need to make a quick trip back to the house so we can grab some wheat, maybe a lead or two, I'm not sure, but we definitely need a couple of supplies so that we can go grab the animules and get them to the barn. Okay, that should be enough, and the sun is setting, so I guess we will take a little nap and sleep our troubles away, and then head over to the animals so the troubles can begin all over again. I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, and one of the things, we're gonna have to figure out is there is that waterway between the dirt pens and the barn, and we've got to figure out how exactly we're getting the animals across the waterway. I don't really feel like dragging them through the water in a boat. No, I'm not doing one at a time, so I think we will just build a really quick makeshift dirt bridge and just lead them over that way. What could possibly go wrong? Well, the good news is I got pretty much all the animals moved over except for a few stragglers, but yeah, for the most part, a success, except I made one little error. Is the sheep were meant to go on that side and the cows on that side, and so I have to switch them. Oh. So, not a huge deal, but a little bit of an inconvenience. So I think... Let's see, there's got to be a good way to do this. I'll move all the sheep to one pen over here and then move the cows over to the empty pen over here and then move all the sheep over to where the cows are. Like I said, not a huge deal, just kind of annoying when you think you're all done with the project and then you realize you have to backtrack and fix a mistake. But at the end of it all, it will be worth it, and you'll see why I need one on one side and the other on the other side as soon as I show you my secret project. Just, yeah, you'll have to stay tuned for that. All right, there it is. We are official. Cows are where they're supposed to be, sheep are where they are supposed to be, and that is a wrap. Thank you so much for spending time with me, you guys. I really appreciate it. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.